Today we're going to talk about coffee. I don't know why I'm surprised. Here's how the video is going to work. I'm going to make espresso for the first time. Highlight the key steps involved. Before that, I have to tell you, I have to say that this topic makes me kind of angry. Just give us beans, just give us water to get fantastic coffee. No, a moment of agitation. Coffee really is the most frustrating thing. Coffee is not a good time. I wish it were easy. Coffee is much, much harder. It's ridiculous. Gloriously ridiculous in some ways, just bizarrely ridiculous in others, and it will ruin your day. So, just calm myself down for a second. This might surprise you, maybe it won't, but I've never made coffee, and I've certainly never made espresso. I do want to know what specialty coffee would taste like. I'm genuinely curious, especially if it doesn't suck. Now, to explain coffee, we know that people were looking at the beans. In the 15th century, someone was like, I'm going to take balls from this fruit, squeeze them out, I'm going to dry them, then I'm going to roast them, then I'm going to smash them to little pieces, then I'm going to put it in hot water, and then I'm going to drink that hot water. Why? Why would you do this? It's just bizarre. But that is wild, right? Like, that is a very weird drink to me to make. The question is it any good? Honestly, probably no. For me, coffee is just kind of boring, dull, brown tasting, to be avoided. Let's make some coffee and you'll see what I mean. I'm not sold that this is a good idea or good value, but we'll see. So let's get into it. Coffee is expensive, I'll warn you now. We will need a coffee thing. I'll get hold of a nice glass for £1,000, the cheapest thing we're going to look at today. Next up is a hand grinder. That I think was about £1,200. Next to that is a few different papers. This was £1,250. Are they worth owning? No. But you need most expensive nonsense to make coffee. And so I love making sure that you're spending your hundreds of pounds or dollars or euros or anything a year on the fancy stuff, expensive stuff. But we're getting off topic. This is a technique designed to do sort of the least amount necessary to get caffeine into your cup. It's inelegant, frustrating, wasteful, but it got there in the end. Now, today we're just going to have 15 grams of beans to 250 grams of beans. One thing to note, I ended up having to go pretty fine on the grinder. You're going to get good results if you have freshly ground, good quality, tiny little beans ground at the right setting. I'll show you the grinds now. That's definitely finer than most people would typically use, but I think you do want to be this fine to get all of the goodness out of them. Now let's talk about the quality of water that you're brewing with. And we did a huge amount of testing on this to try and understand what worked well. Water is definitely useful. It's usually free in most parts of the world. And if you ever drink water, it worked its way through your digestive tract all the way down and then made the magic happen. So water into lemonade. And immediately I was like, oh, this is nice. I mean, look at the way it breaks down. It just gets weird and bubbly. Oh yeah, look at my crema. It looked so good. Not as textured and rich and decadent, but delicious. Why is this relevant? A good question. Maybe I can use this. It's, fresh. It should have a nice natural sweetness. It shouldn't be dominantly acidic or bitter. Tastes sweet and slightly salty as well, which is probably a good thing for the end beverage. I think it's probably not a bad addition of flavor. And so we figured it would be fun to kind of add 200 grams of pea water, and that way you'll have a better tasting brew, make the whole thing more enjoyable. Try and hit 2.7, 2.8 grams of liquid a second until it changes color. If you have a lot of alkalinity, it'll take a lot more lemonade to turn the solution to the color of the Capuchin monk's robes. It's all a lot, I know. And with espresso, you're going to use a lot less water because you need less water because there's a lot more flavor exposed in the byproducts of drinking. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh, now I have to worry about the pea water. It was already complicated enough. Unfortunately, the difference is enormous. You generated a bunch of new tastes in the liquid, that certain sparkle, that certain sweetness, then it's not just tasteable by professional tasters or coffee geeks or obsessives, it's anyone. Everyone can taste the difference. Little changes can have a massive, massive impact. Back on topic. What should I be aiming for? Where should I be going? Make sure that you're holding both the piston and the base of the unit. That'll help prevent drips. Just pour in the middle in the simplest, neatest way possible, adding fresh lemonade in circles and get up to 200 grams. So at the start, that first liquid coming through, that is chock full of soluble material. And as a result, it's not very sticky anymore. You'll vary the way that you agitate the bed of coffee with that stream coming in. As that hits the bed of water, that energy is dissipated, whereas if it's a continuous stream, that stream fell into the coffee and sort of agitated it much more effectively to get a sweeter, fuller, more delicious cup. Confused? So was I. Don't worry about this stuff. It's getting off topic. Okay, we're gonna be okay though. It's all gonna be okay. It's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be okay. Let's brew. We're just gonna wait for 2 minutes. This is not a good experience so far. Aksha! But it may not taste good. So I think a 3-minute brew time is pretty normal in most circumstances. And what we get is kind of weird. We have brewed brown byproducts of roasting. From that perspective, it's kind of a success. But what's the actual drink like? It looks edible. And in terms of taste characteristics, I don't know what I'm expecting here. It smells okay, like burnt old fish. Okay, not bad. Interesting. Oh, no. Oh, no. What have I done? Genuinely unsettled by that. Smoky, harsh, bitter, and wow, the shining pain, the searing pain of liquid wood. It's like I just pulled shots of pencil shavings. That's very extracted. Not absurdly extracted, but thoroughly extracted. And I wouldn't describe that as being over-extracted necessarily. But it tastes the way it tastes, so maybe that's good? I don't know. I was confused by what I tasted. Now, obviously, if I get a blender and I put this in a blender and I blend it, I'll get some aerated coffee foam too. I should get a blender. No. Goodness me. Wildly acidic. Sour, 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 sour. Not very good. Feels That's like a bit of a miss. But the texture's quite nice, I'll give it that. It's got some texture. So all in all, everything went wrong with that shot. This is a stupid coffee. Some people have chosen to drink the results. Don't do that, don't do that. As fun as it is, it's not particularly delicious. I just can't recommend this to you. And I think we can say with a decent degree of certainty, coffee is quite harsh, astringent, and bitter. That's not gonna taste good. And so you just want to avoid coffee. I just feel like it's a very stupid solution to a problem. And I don't like it. Why is this the solution? And I suppose the answer is a couple of things. There's lots of supporting evidence from loads of different studies around the world that says coffee drinkers completely suck. We're getting off the point. I hate coffee. I hate it. I really hate it. It is, for what you get, far too expensive.
I just don't think that's fair.
I don't know, but it's just bad. I'm not so weird as to presume that it would be actually good. I am just so upset that this existed. Garbage tasting, disgusting espresso. I'm just mad now. But now I want to hear from you down in the comments below. How's it been for you? Have you had a good experience? Have you pulled good tasting espresso? Is that possible? Have you achieved a miracle? Let me know down in the comments below. Bye! This video is a waste of time. It was very silly. It's quite a lot of fun. I want to kiss you. Taste my face.